take some tax loss, or to help with.
Okay, we'll call the October 3rd, 2022 Management Services Committee to order. For the agenda, we're gonna move discussion and action on all language claims, public comment.
Oh, I just minimized.
I would say please silence your phone, but mine will ring.
Mine is silent.
You're a good helper.
With that change, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So
Is there a second? All in favor? Okay, are there any public comments? Seeing none? Discussion and, she's already got it.
Okay. Did you say you wanted me?
You're gonna be first thing.
Okay.
So we're up to discussion and action on design group claim. So, could you have something a little more?
Yes. Just to give everybody a quick breakdown on what is involved in a project and the design fees. There's generally 5 categories of design work that's involved in pulling these things together. One is a schematic design, and that's what I agreed to do for you at no fee. The next is a design development, the construction documentation, bidding, and construction administration. That, just to give you a feeling for what I did for the space planning, all of that was done at no fee. Those I wanna double check myself, I got these labeled wrong. Yeah, I got these labeled wrong. This was all done for the animal control center and the morgue. This was all done at no fee.
So Larry, you're saying schematic design stage is the first stage, that's what you agreed to?
And that would have amounted to 7,200 and some change.
Is that broken down hourly or whatever
Yeah.
there?
The fee structure on something like just the morgue alone would range in price from, probably the low end is going to be 6 or 7% up to 11 or 12% of the construction cost, just in round numbers. I wanna say I am at 4.5% for what I did for you. So I'm well under the average. Now, that's for the construction documents.
I said it was silenced. What
It's
is,
gonna be one of them days.
I guess, geez, Louise, shush.
See how my morning started.
So, okay. This is stage 1,
Yes.
okay.
I call it space planning because that's essentially what we're trying to get to. We go through all of the elements that go in that particular building. That particular document is mixed up with the morgue and animal control. Animal control had the lion's share of the time in that no fee stuff.
After he's done,
Right, it started out as animal control and then the morgue got tacked on.
Right. And to reinforce what we said at the last meeting, we had done six different concepts for animal control. And at that point, and I think, to be honest, I think we did have something that everybody agreed on. There may be some minor things in there that, still may have been in flux, but that's what I said. And at that same meeting, everybody was pushing to try and get the morgue in the ground for this fall. And so that's when we pushed to get everything and to get all of the public notice information, to get all of the bids out. There was some crunch time in there. We were only it only had like 1 or 2 days worth of flux for everything to work out. So we had to scramble to get those construction documents out there for bid. And honestly, I thought everybody understood and everybody was on the same page, but apparently that's not.
So this,
Well, and you changed your mind too.
this schematic design, this is a no charge.
Correct.
All that was a no charge.
Yeah.
All right, so I have to look out for the best interest of the county. And the questions I have, was it ever stated in any meeting that, okay, I'll do the schematic design for free. I won't do the design development for free. I won't do the construction documents for free. I won't do the bidding for free. I won't do the construction administration for free. Was that ever
It
stated?
was not broken down like that in the very beginning.
Then
I
whose
did,
fault is that? Because
well,
in the
honestly,
best
I
interest of
thought-
the county, we knew going in the word free over and over. And Larry, I'm not mad about this, and I'm not trying to put anybody in any positions, but I gotta do what's best for the county. If it's not stated to us as a whole, where I'm only gonna do one thing for free, but the rest I'm not doing, at some time, you should have just said, I'm done, unless you want, I have to charge you to do the development design, the construction documents, the bidding, or the construction administration.
And I think that was, in my mind, it was fairly clear when we said that we were done with the space planning, and I said, I have to quit, and we're doing the bidding documents.
And after this was done, that's when you actually brought other people in.
Right.
And I have one more question. Would we be here right now if the bid would have went through?
No.
That's where the situation at hand is. So in my eyes, you would have known you would have got paid if the bid would have went through and you would have got it. And I appreciate your honesty, but I go back to every meeting, and then I didn't even know until Chad McGinnis brought up the county board meeting. You had spoke to him before any of this even started, and he'd said in the audio that we're gonna go through and Amanda will pull out, that even though he talked to you about everything, you still said it was gonna be free through him. So that's a
Again.
little,
I clearly said space planning.
and it's nothing against you, Larry, and it's just what I have to do for the county. I go back to this, and if we would have had this laid out, and you said I can do the schematic design for free, but if I go ahead and I wanna, you wanna follow through with design development, you wanna follow through construction documents, all the rest of this, you'll have to pay for my time. And I get it, you did a great job, I'm not gonna argue that at all, it's just that it's been stated in multiple meetings, the word free. And as a whole, I know everybody thought that it was free.
I think somebody's reading way too much into it. How could anybody expect you're gonna pull contract documents together and do all of the bidding for free?
Well, it should have stated.
Well,
That's the only thing. I'm
in
not-
my mind, it was, Paul. In my mind, it absolutely was.
And I don't know when it was, but I do remember you saying you were gonna step away from it. And I
Right.
think that was the exact words that you used.
Well, because of the 6 different things, and at that time, I think we had everything pulled together. And everybody was on the same page. And that's when we were transitioning to the contract documents. And I'm confident that I said contract documents. Because you need those to go out to bid.
Again, I agree, but at the same time, I don't agree not knowing.
Well, you
Whatever step of the way
were
is.
at all of those meetings, I
It wasn't. But if we can look at the audio, and you can find all that to back up what you're saying, then we'll go ahead and, but at this point, I can't see us spending money on something that we were told something else.
I don't know that you were told something else.
What was the total bill, 14, 575? So in the interest of moving forward, Paul, are you stuck at 0 and are you stuck at 14?
Yes. I didn't bill you for printing or anything. I didn't bill you for mileage or anything.
And you have two.
I talked to two different architects about this.
That are owed money.
Well, oh, something.
Yeah.
All right.
And I told everybody in the very beginning that this is at least a $25,000 fee. I believe, Donnie, you were the one that asked what this was about in I think the very first meeting. And I said that this is roughly, at the very least, a $25,000 to $30,000 fee for this.
You know, I know the engineering, when we did the boilers, was quite a bit. You know, usually anytime you have any engineering involved, it gets to be quite a fee.
Well, I'm at a point of compromise. I think others here might be at a point of compromise, but the two of you are not at a point of compromise. Am I correct in my looking at that? I'd like to go ahead and get this over with.
I'm fine with it, but the problem I'm having though is the statements that were made in the meetings that I was at. And then also, like we found out at the last county board meeting, Chad raised his hand and he spoke and he said, Larry and I had a conversation even before you started this, and it was free. Now, I would like to get exactly what he said from the audio, and we can hear that, but that's
Well,
what
that was
Chad stated, we were all there. We heard him say it.
Yeah, you heard him say it in the meeting, not in the telephone conversation with me. And if I'm not mistaken, my telephone conversation with Chad was way before anything.
That's right.
So, I mean,
And I said I would offer to do that space planning for free because you had no clue where you were regarding that project.
That's
Because the contractors had bounced it back.
No, I agree. No,
Wouldn't, and
Larry,
couldn't bid it.
and I agree with you on that. You are correct.
And so I was helping you. I went out of my way. If I knew this was gonna turn out this way, I would have never touched it in a million years.
I'm with you.
And this is my third trip over here to defend something that was done properly. So I'm getting a little bit upset about it.
Well, it wasn't definitive, it's not done properly. We know that because you said free in multiple meetings, we all heard it.
Free space planning, and I know I said space planning.
I mean, I was at every meeting. I was at every meeting we had. He had meetings with contractors and stuff outside of that, so, but,
And principals.
so,
Can you leave that for documentation, please, Larry? Thank you.
you know, what do you guys, you're awful quiet over there.
Yeah, I didn't fully understand what we were charging for and what was free. That wasn't made very clear to me at all. And so it just kind of kept going and I figured it was sort of free. I mean, I thought, Larry's being a heck of a nice guy and helping the citizens of Iroquois County out and
Well, I did, to the tune of $7,000.
yeah, I mean, I kind of talked with tiling people and things, and they've drawn up things, at no charge and different things. And,
Not to the degree that you have here, nowhere close to the degree that you have here. And all of the stuff that was done for the Animal Control Center, there's enormous hours pulling that stuff together. There was huge amounts of documentation in the background that had to be reviewed to come up with something that satisfied everybody's goals. And we did that.
what would you think about, payment of half the 14, somewhere around 7?
That's way too shy. I think I could settle for 10.
I think we need to involve the state's attorney.
What do you,
Yeah. I mean, I was in every meeting too, except for the ones on the phone calls, every meeting here. And I thought from the beginning it was free, and I thought, God, that's a lot of work for free, you know.
So your expectation is that there should have been something.
There's something, yeah, so.
And am I the only one that heard him talk about stepping away from the project?
I don't remember, you know.
And I should not have expected you to understand all of the moving parts in these things.
Right.
But we're all in a hurry to try and get this thing pulled together. And I know we had a conversation about what the total scope of these fees are. The total scope of what all is in these things.
Wish we would have got something in writing, you know.
I guess the problem is, had it gone through, your fees would have been paid by the contractor probably, right? Or somewhere in that, or somehow it
It
would have
could
been.
have been.
Yeah, versus when we decided to put the project on hold, that kinda messes that up too.
You know, this is unfortunate. It's clearly a misunderstanding. Clearly, we misunderstood. I wish we could find a way to resolve this without making it ugly.
Yeah.
I haven't charged you interest on anything. This thing is going on 3 months. I didn't charge you for any of the printing, didn't charge you for mileage. And the reality is, I think there's a lot more time in that than is actually showing up on those. There are a lot of meetings,
Yes.
and there were some last minute changes in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think we might be able to sell the half, you know, around the $7,000 figure to the county board. But, there were a lot of people on the board that, had some issues too, and, were sent here to negotiate.
Again, they were not involved in any of these conversations. That's not a fair
Right.
evaluation. And I don't know that any of them had the slightest clue what was going on and what I was told. We were told that contractors would have never called me if this hadn't been a real project. Somebody told the contractors, that's how I got involved, that this was a real project. And it was proved, approved, and funded. Otherwise, there'd be no way that I would have gotten involved, because there was just too much stuff going on this last summer. I was buried, and I shut everything off to pull that together for you.
I know you did come back early from some trips and stuff to make some meetings.
Well, and I just feel like, because we didn't know what we were doing, and you know, this started in judicial with you two last August. John appointed you two to be on the committee, and that was about the animal control thing. So it languished, then we put it out for bid, and I'm calling up people that I know saying, hey, go get a bid packet. And they're calling me back going, what do you want?
Yeah.
I
I got
don't even know
involved on
how to
January
put it.
20th. So this has been going on a long time. I've got a
Language.
lot of hours in it.
And so I didn't, for some reason, I don't know why, I walked out without my management folder today. But I think all the drawings are in there. I mean, there were at least, we changed our minds and we changed our minds. The Sally port was in, the Sally port was out. It was gonna be cement, it was gonna be covered, it wasn't gonna be covered. We needed a door, we talked about drains, you know?
Yeah.
We, 3 times we changed the location, in fact, 4. One, 2, 3, 4.
Even before we got to that, Donna, Jill had a wonderful summary of the spaces that you needed, but those had to be adjusted to cut down on some of the square footage and to fine tune that. Well, there was a ton of hours just getting those spaces identified. I had room data sheets on absolutely every room and everything that went in there.
So again, I said, I'd rather see this not end ugly, and I'd rather see us find a compromise. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, if he's looking for at least 10, if you add up what the bill is and what this is, that would have totaled 21,816, so he's actually settling for less than half of what would normally have been paid.
But isn't the bill include that? Oh,
No.
no, that's separate, 21, so 10, okay.
I mean, it is half of what the fee normally would have been.
And the normal fee is, like I said, between $25,000 and $30,000. So even that number
Is low.
is considerably lower than what you would have paid. And you have no architects left in the county anymore. And most of these guys can't afford to come to these meetings. You don't wanna pay $150 an hour. And I was trying to give you a break and give you a leg up to get your arms around this thing so you could know where you were. And after 6 passes, I sincerely thought you knew where you were going.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, I think there's culpability on both sides. Perhaps you could have explained in more detail,
I
and
agree.
perhaps we could have said, whoa, exactly, define free.
Yes.
Well, again, in that first meeting, I honestly, sincerely thought that everybody understood, but
We
And
Do you think maybe we should discuss this among ourselves for a few minutes?
I mean,
Unless, can you go into executive session? I mean, we can't exactly,
No, I mean, Larry can walk out in the hall for a few minutes.
it's gonna be on video anyway.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
you want me to step out?
Don't make a difference either way. Larry, we appreciate all your help, but I keep going back to the conversations that were had. And that's why I stressed the word free when I said it last time. And it wasn't to point a finger at anything, it's just that we were misled.
I wouldn't
I
say
don't agree with that at all.
Okay.
I think it's a misunderstanding.
I'll go with that too. Even in a misunderstanding. I don't argue that at all. But we heard it over and over when we asked the question.
No,
Early on, you heard it.
Yeah. I don't think it was addressed too often after.
after that first meeting. And I wanna say when we switched from space planning to contract documents, and I believe at that point, I said, we've gotta pull the contract documents together and start, cause if I know I submitted that list of timeline dates. There's a list of 8 or 10 dates here that all had to be hit, which included the public notice phase. That was pretty much a starting point.
Would you like to make a motion?
I move that we settle this matter by paying the design group, that's who the bill is with, correct, $10,000.
Anybody like to second that?
I'll second it.
I want discussion on it.
We can discuss it.
County's not in the business of giving money away. We just did. It can happen pretty fast.
I'm not sure we'll pass through.
No, I don't think it'll pass the county board.
That's why I think we should try to figure a
You know, there,
amiable amount here. Something,
When-
otherwise we're just going in circles.
well,
Well, I think 10,000 was an amiable amount.
when, I mean, nobody had much to say about any of it until all of a sudden the cost of the whole project came in. And then we're like, whoa, that's way too much. Well, you know, it's a
But
little
I-
late to be changing.
But I told you
Yeah.
clearly that it was in that $25,000-$30,000 range.
I mean,
didn't break it apart.
the whole project, when we were budgeting, what, 250,000 and it came in at
Or,
4, that's when this all started, is the people saying, whoa, wait a minute, we can't afford that.
right,
And we just went back again on this. And we wouldn't be here right now if we would have actually bid it out. He would have got his money.
Correct.
But that's not our fault. We didn't finally bid it out. We found a better solution to save the county money. That's what we're here
I
for,
guess-
is to save the county money. And so now we're gonna throw $10,000 at him, not the full 21, or whatever he wants. But the statements that were made still show different.
I don't think they do, Paul.
I do. I appreciate all your help, I do. You did things that I know none of us were thinking you'd even go through and do. But
But they
we
have to be done to get this thing to
agree,
put
but we would have
together.
hired it out. And you
Who would
come
you
in
hire,
for
who would you
free.
hire it out to?
We'd find somebody, we'd have to, we have no choice. We'd have to find an architect.
That's what I'm telling you, that those fees would be well over what you're looking at here.
We would have understood at that time what the fees were. That's the problem with right now, is we did
Those
not understand how big those fees
those
were.
contractors hired me to come in because they know that I can get it done more economically.
And actually, we don't know what the fees would have been.
We don't, because we have to do it.
Well, no, because a lot of them are done on a percentage. And if we were budgeting for 250,000 and it came in at 400,000, instead of 25,000 for fees, it would have been 40,000, then what would you have been doing?
Then we would have known that. We would have known that number. We never knew this number.
You wouldn't.
This is just a number just
you-
popped up,
you
wow.
wouldn't
That's the
know.
problem with this.
You
No,
wouldn't have
Paul,
known
that's
that
not true.
number
That
until the bids came
25,000
in.
was on the table.
You wouldn't have known.
Through the bid, not through us.
No. You guys asked what this thing would cost for what are the fees worth? Or what do they amount to on a project like this? And I said clearly $25,000 to $30,000, not knowing what was involved because we hadn't started talking about all of the bits and pieces. But because you had no clue as to what the scope of the project was, that's what that schematic is designed is for. To identify what the scope of the project is. And you got 2 projects for free.
Again, I'm gonna state the state's attorney should be involved in this.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor. If there's no more discussion, we'll take a vote between now and the full board meeting. If you wanna go through the tapes, they need to be gone through before then. Otherwise, you're just dragging it out, and that's not right either.
I went through the tapes. I stated in the meeting exactly what went on. That's why the whole county board
So
heard what
you
was
have,
said.
you know exactly,
What times they
You-
were said, everything.
I think there need to be transcripts of that presented. at
did
the
you
county
go
board
through
meeting.
every tape, or did you just go through the ones
I
where
went through
you
every
found?
tape that was on YouTube that she had put out there that I found. She'll still have to go through the transcripts of the ones that were not put out.
I think there needs to be transcripts of the wording printed up so the board members can see it. not just, you know, a parlance of, you know, you know, someone's take on what was said.
And there
I
were
think we need to
gross
hear.
errors in the minutes of, not the last board meeting, but the meeting before. There were some liberties taken in there that were not factual.
Well,
Well, then,
But I had every expectation that this would be taken care of. I was clearly wrong again.
all right, let's take a vote.
Ducat.
No.
Bowers,
Yes.
Pearl,
yes,
Zumwalt,
Yes,
Aaron's,
Yes. Okay. I will go through the tapes too. And we will figure something out. Have
I
some-
believe the very first management meeting that we had, we discussed that fee.
Lyle, there was something I left out of my motion, I don't know how we fix this, or maybe I need to make a second motion. That this should come out of ARPA money and not capital,
I believe the project was
and ARPA.
earmarked for ARPA to begin with.
But we decided to take it out of the capital.
Without looking directly, it was approved that 65,000 through ARPA be used for the animal control building. And with the purchase of the building was a lot less than that, so there does leave a little bit of room in there for you to
But
take it out of there.
I'm real confident that we took it out. Mr. McTaggart questioned that at the last board meeting, and he said we wouldn't even have this bill, and I think he was correct. If it weren't for the ARPA funds, we wouldn't have even been talking about an animal control building.
Right.
So I think we need to pay that out of the animal control portion of the ARPA funds, and I make that,
capital.
and I make that a formal motion.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I agree with that. That does.
Unless there's
Yep.
discussion.
Bowers,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Zumwalt, Aaron's,
Yes. All right. So I will sit down and Paul knows where it's at, he can maybe guide through it.
Oh, you wanna go through every single meeting like I did?
Yep. Don't want to, but
I know.
Thank you very much for helping me out.
all right.
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, maintenance supervisor report. Go ahead and follow that.
Everything is good, nothing is bad, and, no. I feel like I'm in a band and I have to like follow like a song, no, never mind. Let's see, 4 short weeks ago, we were here already, or I guess we're over there, but few things to report. This one, I'll go into my 3-minute dissertation of what happened because it was a fairly large deal. Some of the last days that we were needing AC, quite a bit over at the jail and courthouse, jail called me over weekend and chiller kept shutting off. It would run, then it would stop, run, stop. So I came in, looked, and it was kept giving me an error code that just said external event. It didn't elaborate, and went down, checked some stuff out in the jail basement. The motor that runs the pump that circulates the cold water through everything, it was really hot. You could smell it as soon as you went down in there. It was still running, almost couldn't put your hand on it. So I had called Precision, they came down and wound up bringing in an electrician as well. Because what was going on is there's a big 480 panel down in the basement that a lot of the larger air handlers and whatnot, there's large breakers for them. Well, a lot of the electric goes under the concrete down in the jail basement, and the power to that pump was shorting out just enough that the motor was still running on 2 of the 3 phases, which is why it was running so hot. And I was told that when it'll sit there and run on two phases, as soon as you kill the power, turn it back on, it won't restart, it'll just sit there and buzz. That's how they ultimately figured out what was going on. Long story short, got that motor running again, but feared some damage to that old pump just because it got so hot in the windings and so we do have a new chiller motor pump that as soon as we transition here in the next month and the chiller doesn't run anymore, we're gonna swap that out. So that was, as silly as it sounds, it was almost kind of fun figuring out what was going on. I know it's gonna cost money and whatnot, but it's, I don't know, it's just kind of fun to troubleshoot stuff like that sometimes. And once we finally figured out what the hell was going on, it was like, all right, cool, so we'll get it fixed. There were some small camera issues in the jail. Had to have BT Video Systems come. They are the ones that put the cameras, the newer ones and the DVRs in. He troubleshot that and got everything squared away. Elevator update. We've signed the 2 letters of acceptance that they required. We have mailed out a check for half of the amount, and I apologize, I have not inquired yet about the service contract end of it that we discussed 4 weeks ago. I did look through all my paperwork, all my Otis paperwork, and I have nothing written about that, so I'm going to have to contact them and speak to them and have them email me something out exactly what their service contract involves, because we discussed possibly switching over to a different vendor for that end of it. Steve Gillis, the guy who's my contact and sort of spearheading all of this, told me he had turned everything over to the engineering department to get this ball rolling. And he was on vacation this whole past week. I reached out to him, but he's getting back. Well, he got back yesterday. And if I find out anything of significance in the next week or so, I'll report it to the full board. I'll come to that meeting and give a briefing on what's going on with that. But as of right now, I have no, other than what I just told you, any information to give on that project. Let's see, over here, admin, no heat pump issues. I purchased a new tower motor pump out there for the one that was going out, and I got that swapped out this past week. When I first got it going, I thought it wasn't working, it was running so quiet. It's, you don't realize how close that old one was to going out. And hats off to Kurt Albers. He pulled up in his parking spot just in time when when I was had the whole assembly put together. It was a bit cumbersome and heavy to try to get back on there. He's like, "You need a hand?" And I was like, "Sure." And so he got his hands dirty for about a half hour with me. It was right on time. Purchased. Sorry?
He'll use that in his next campaign.
Right.
Hands on.
Yeah. I purchased 3 pallets of salt this past month, and I have 1 more I'm picking up this week. That'll give me 5. In the past 3 years, I've never gone more than 4, 4.5. So we'll see where that gets me. I serviced my 2 trucks, the Power Stroke plow truck and the white one I run around in. Rotated the tires, changed oil, all that stuff. Did the snow blowers as well this past month. Skid steer has minimal hours on it since the last time it was serviced, which was actually by Joel. With the small amount we used it last winter, I've just been wasting money on filters and oil, so I'll probably service that come this spring after the winter season. And I guess last year, that's part of the reason why I was almost late to this. I waited long enough unfortunately had to get a boiler going in the courthouse because people were complaining enough. This morning I had a 59-degree reading up in the one courtroom, and I think I probably should have got the boiler running for them. So I got some heat going. The jail is still warm. I mean, everything's temperature-wise over there. But it's the kind of thing where during the day, I mean, it gets above 55 degrees, it's gonna shut off anyway. It's that transition season where, you'll get the chiller run during the day and then you'll get the boiler run when it gets cold, so. That's pretty much all I have. Thank you.
What is this? This is under yours. I think I've asked about this before. I don't know what this is. BB&T Government Finance, $51,802. alone, payment 4 of 15. What is
Is
that?
that the chiller?
I don't know.
That's a smart lot payment, smart lot is
Oh,
is
that's
B&B,
smart watch.
BB&T Bank, yeah,
BB&T,
that's
okay,
the annual payment.
okay.
So yeah, that's what that is.
Okey dokey. Payment 4 of 15.
And I'm not gonna mention the budgets, because I, somehow manifested things to break by mentioning it last meeting, so just let you guys look at those. And I do this every year, and I've told you before, the household supplies, most of what's remaining I will use just to stock up on all kinds of stuff. And I'll have a mountain of things out there in the shed that I can be bringing in for the next, couple months. I usually buy a bunch of new mop heads for the jail in here and mop handles and just things I don't normally get. As far as the other budget lines, or what's left is what's left.
Anybody got any other questions? Yes.
Paul?
Did you ever get an enclosure for the skid steer for your warmth? Keep it warm?
No, I do have heated gloves, though.
Can we do it? Can you still do it? Did you find anything where to
I
do it?
looked into it, and they're acting out at McCullough's like, given that model and the age of it, that it's very difficult, if even possible, to order a new kit for that, which I found a little odd myself. Though it's almost like they didn't want to deal with it,
Right.
so I never really pursued it any more than that. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'd love to be warm, but it's it's almost an unnecessary couple grand that I would spend. It's if I can bundle up and
But I'd like to
Say
keep
a
it out
few
there for
curse
6
words
hours
and-
and 2 hours. Keep it warm.
yeah, I know.
Because I also, remember we talked about getting like a front blower for the sidewalks or that little
broom.
scraper. Yeah, the broom, which would be great for snow because then you don't have to get out, you don't get a shovel.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I thought would be the best scenario, is get that thing to get a warm enclosure, then put that on the front, and guess what? Chris says, oh, man,
Yeah, I
you
know.
have to do it.
Yeah, the city had a broom for their skid steer we used to take out to Lakeview Park to
Okay.
get the goose poop off of the sidewalk
Okay.
and whatnot. Yeah, they're very nice.
Go without a,
I kind of had the choice of getting the snow pusher, the box, the 6-foot box that I did get, or a broom when we did the trade for the tractor. And I kind of opted for the pusher at the time. I'm quite honest, I haven't really, I don't know.
I just
Like I
like to
said, I
make it
hate
easier
to-
for, that's what I'd like to do, just so you don't have to, it's less work on your body.
It's good to know you look out for them.
I've seen other skid steers that they'll put panels of clear plexiglass on the side of that heavy screen, and that really blocks a lot of the side wind.
Yeah, my guy who helps me out, him and I just had a discussion about this late last week, and
what happened to all the plexiglass that you put up in the different offices?
I don't know. I have no idea where all that went. That's a good question.
You
You
could
might
just-
be able to use some of those. I mean, yeah, it's, I don't know.
I don't see it as a bad thing for you to pursue it and try to get it for yourself.
I can definitely look into it. Like I said, though, I don't wanna just get accused of like buying luxury items for myself,
Well, you go on workman's comp, we're in a little bit of a bind, so I'd rather see, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Get one of the heated jackets, with the battery in the pocket.
Well, another thing they said is, yeah, you can pick up an electric unit that you can wire into that, and I just don't know.
Something else could go wrong.
I don't know if Hogan Walker, I know they're not a Bobcat dealer anymore, but I don't know if that's something that they would be willing to give me a price on. Yeah, I can look into it.
Thank you.
Alright. Moving on. County farm management issues. Piling project. So. Amanda kinda drew something up for the bid packet and she didn't feel it was adequate. So, did you happen to bring that with you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
What did you feel was inadequate about it?
Well, we went off of
That letter?
the letter
Yes.
and it's basically just us answering the questions that were in
Right.
in here. And in talking with Lyle, both of us just feel like it was, I don't know if we wanna say generic or,
Well, I don't wanna run into the same situation that we ran into
Amen.
with the
Right.
other.
so what I did, I reached out to this person that gave us all of the information. And I asked him if he had any, I'm guessing he's, bid on items like this before, if he had any type of bids that maybe he could send to me, something that I could go off of as just a
template.
just a sample template, something, and I did a couple of Google searches to look at, just to give us something to go off of, because we've never done this before. I had not heard anything back yet, so I'm hoping for maybe hopefully a response from him today.
See, we're in a very similar situation with him as we are with Larry.
And he's probably swamped right now with farming and
Exactly, and I don't wanna run into a conflict here
No.
again.
No,
And I reached out to my brother that does tiling and they haven't had, they could give me something for doing water for municipalities and stuff, but nothing for tiling. And your specs would be totally different.
Well, see, I thought that we made choices based on answering those questions.
it's just to put a bid packet together though. I don't know, I guess it's hard to explain how to,
Right, and that's where if somebody can go with me and sit down and just go through it and see if we can develop a bid packet. And then have it ready to go for the full board meeting. Cause we gotta clear some of the stuff that we keep talking
Off the
about.
agenda,
Yeah.
it's decisions have to be made. So when would you like to do that? I mean, you know how much I know about tiling. I actually understood about 2-phase, 3-phase, but
It'll be right after the meeting. Well, you'll be,
I'll be at ARPA.
are you available for a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, cause you guys both will be in ARPA. When you get done, if we're still there, we'll be saying help. But. So, alright. Is there anything that you guys can think of that we need to include on that, other than the questions he had?
Are we gonna invite the farmer that's on that property now in to see if there's anything else that's a water issue, or are we just going off of what? It's your call, you know this better than me, I'm just trying to make sure we cover everything.
Well, they would be hooking in any existing tiles that they cross.
Okay.
So,
Would they see any holes that we don't know about that are out there in the field that maybe we're having issues with?
They might,
Yeah.
they're supposed to fix them, according to the contract.
Yeah.
We could ask Stephanie to come in.
but,
Were you talking about the farmer we're hooking up with, or
No, with the current farmer we have.
Walker Farms.
yeah, it just seemed like that getting this main put in is the huge expense, and if we need to run laterals later, it would be that much money.
Has anybody talked to Stephanie about this at all? You know, when I talked to her back some time ago, they actually do tiling, their own tiling, and I'm not suggesting that we not let that out for bid, but I agree it might be a good idea to talk to her and get some input about any conditions out there we should be aware of.
Yeah, and
And I also think we should probably give a follow-up call to our neighbor farmer to say, we're getting ready to let this, are we still, I'm confirming, are we still good to go with this?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, I mean,
People change their minds all the time.
they can't deny us access
I
because
know.
it's, but.
Still gotta be fair to them.
Right, well, and it's just building good relations. Or keeping relationships amicable or
Correct.
cordial.
Okay,
You got 10 minutes.
yeah. Okay. Then we'll move on to animal control building and more. You have something you wanted to say, Mr. Sher?
I'd like to report to the committee that Friday afternoon, we completed the purchase of Dr. Yusuf's building. And so this week, we're engaged, believe we'll be engaged in a little cleanup out there and transferring the existing animals that we have in custody out to that facility. The next step will be if we want to consider investigating or moving into any activity involving floodproofing that building. There is an engineer up in West Dundee that was recommended to me by some of the people at the state DNR that I've spoken to in the last several weeks, and I haven't contacted that individual yet. I wanted to talk to the committee. I don't know what his expenses will be, but given our experience with Mr. Mahoney, it's obvious that we need to have a better method of accomplishing all those kinds of things. But I'm looking today for the committee to decide if you want me to investigate into the dry flood proofing, and we probably have about somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 from ARPA money left over from this activity here that we could at least initially engage him to give us some information on whether it's possible to do that, what some of the estimated costs might be, and so forth. So
I'd make a motion for that and also find out all the fees involved so we know exactly what's going on. That way we all understand it.
and I think it's probably be more like an estimate of fees, but I think we can get an hourly rate schedule and those kinds of things that we did not have with our dealings with Mr. Mahoney, which is.
I think it's great we got the animal control building. We put a project behind us and we saved a lot of money for the county. That's fantastic, but I can make the motion for that.
Are we investigating the driver?
What was the purchase price that was finalized on that?
It was $60,000, but there's some adjustment for the property taxes. And also there was a credit given for some repairs that are needed on one of the air conditioning units out there. I don't think the air conditioning costs for those repairs are gonna be quite as much as the estimate was, so we may come out a few dollars ahead on that part of it, but. I mean, there's a couple other minor expenses associated with it. I have the paperwork here if anybody's interested in looking at it. But
Are we discussing, or are you waiting on us?
I'm waiting on a second.
Where's that a question?
Well, why don't we get a second?
I'll second.
Chris?
We briefly discussed this a couple months ago, but so will this property be something else we'll have to hit snow removal wise? What about mowing?
Mowing. That's what I was gonna ask. Are we mowing, did we say that's this spring that we do rebidding on mowing? Okay.
How much mowing is there?
Push one more.
It's
Not much.
It's like a push mowing a yard.
Or just
Well,
rock
yeah, I
the
know,
place.
but I remember a little patch in the front. Is there anything in the?
Has to have some trees cut
The
out.
south side is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
The south side is just parking lot, and then the west side by the highway, there's some yard. And then most of it is the north side. And then once again, on the east side is this driveway, alley.
also on the south side, there's about 5 bushes that need to be trimmed periodically.
Well, let me ask this, then, if it's going to be something that I'm gonna go there once a week and do you want me to see really quick here if there's a mower on clearance or something out at Walmart or Stock Field that's marked half the price that we can put out there in that shed? Or do you wanna wait and see how much it would cost to have them added in when we bid, which is probably gonna cost a lot more than me to.
Yeah.
Do you realistically have time to do the mowing?
Sure.
Wasn't there a mower in that shed out there?
I thought there was.
I thought
Was there?
so too.
I don't think there was. Oh, there wasn't?
No,
I was in there. I didn't see him.
no, I looked in there too, there's no more.
Somebody stole it or something?
Gotcha.
Oh, maybe I'm crazy, which is probably the case, but I wouldn't mind at all leaving here for an hour once a week and going doing something else.
Would you be okay with the self-propelled mower?
Sure.
Is that okay with you? For
Yeah.
the size it is? Cause I know we've talked already in the north side of putting a fence up so they have a dog run.
And maybe before we get too involved in mowers, we need to see, cause I don't know how close we can get. I mean, a fence should be able to go right up to the property line. If you make it all kennel, you end up not having, a fence is movable, so it can go to the property
2
line.
foot from the.
So do you wanna revisit,
You'd have to
this in March? Instead of jumping out right now
I mean,
unnecessarily?
if we own it, we do have to maintain it through the fall.
Yeah,
Grass isn't gonna grow much more.
no, I think we're pushing the end here.
It's gonna have to get a whole landscaping job anyways, it's pretty rough.
We'll talk about this in the spring.
You're still gonna have to trim the bushes.
I got a pickup truck and a chain.
In fact, those bushes need to be trimmed right now.
What kind of bushes are they?
There's a little bit of everything out there.
There's some wild trees growing up in it.
Yeah, there's some sumac trees and mulberries and
Round it.
Alright.
So, did we have a motion on the floor?
Something.
Move forward with
Killer.
investigating the dry
Killer.
plug on the animal control building.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to move forward with
Well, I wanna talk about
investigating the dry poop.
dry flood proofing. So exactly what is that?
Dry flood proofing for that building probably would encompass a gate type of device that would go over every access door, probably 4 foot high. It would also probably involve having a membrane sprayed around the entire exterior of the building up to about 3 feet high. And then where the sewer pipe drains out, there's a check valve type of apparatus that can be installed just outside the building, so that sewers cannot back up into the building, but sewer water or any water in the building can flow out.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because I'm remembering when McDonald's was out there, and I don't know if that was dry flood proofing or whatever, but they were supposed to have flood proofed that building.
All we did was put up dam doors.
Dam doors?
Yeah,
Because-
there was nothing else besides the dam doors.
So the floors didn't blow out in that thing?
We had to put dam doors in.
Did the floors blow?
I didn't work there at that time, but I do not believe so.
Okay.
But again, what John's talking about is a little more than just putting in the doors.
This is the reason we're talking about engaging the engineer, because he's gonna analyze the building and the whole project to determine if this is feasible and so forth. It's part of what the state and FEMA both require in order to issue a certificate approving it. It's gonna be something similar when it's all done to what's at Scotchman's gas station down here at the west end of town. That gas station building has been dry flood proofed back in 2006.
Well, we can see what they've got to say.
Okay, we have a motion to move forward on investigating it.
We've got
Yep.
Bowers.
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Barons.
Yes. Is there anything else we need to talk about on the animal control or more buildings?
On the morgue.
Yeah.
I found a building and I had Bill Cheatham come up and take a look at it. I'm gonna find it right now.
Where's it located?
150 East First Avenue in Clifton. The
What's in there
price-
now?
It was first Hemet Over Construction, they had the building, it's 3 pieces. And then the last guy just made it into a bar, the front part, so you could put an office up in the front. And he could have the morgue in the middle, and he could have vehicles and landscaping stuff in the back building. The office area is 384 square feet. When you go to the second part where the commercial building is, there's a garage door. It's a 9x7. I can give you this drawing if you'd like to. I'll just do this. There's a drawing if you'd like to look at it. I'd like to pass that around. The nice thing about being in Clifton is he's right next to the interstate.
That was one thing we
It's-
did want was something.
He's,
It's still currently a bar.
yeah, but it's not much going, yeah. It's right across from the Chevance Township, building.
Okay.
So maybe there's a possibility for snow removal, to have them take a swipe by before they go out and take care of the township. So we wouldn't have to worry about snow removal. Mowing,
Two-story?
Bill's talked about Bill's talked about, hiring that he'd take care of the mowing, the landscaping. There's not much there. There's a little spot of grass in front that he could turn to rock. That's what I was teasing Chris about for this one.
How much?
119,000,
What's this door overhead 16x10?
that's on the back side. That's the third part of the building.
Okay, so he'd be using this door, the 9x7, to use for the van.
So this
is
part of the
big.
building,
Yeah.
from here to here, would be used for the morgue. This would be his office area up front, and then back here you can put his landscaping stuff, and if you had to park a vehicle in there.
I don't follow you with landscaping stuff.
If he had to have a mower, if he had to have
Oh, okay,
uh,
okay.
a little bitty walk behind snow removal.
If I recall that, the garage doors open onto a paved alley, right?
They do. They move right into the alley. That might be gravel. I don't know.
I think it's paved. I
But
don't
did
go
you see
down it
this?
a lot, but I have been down it.
Yeah.
Was it 151 West Main Street?
It's 150 East First Avenue,
What'd you say the
and it's
price
119.9 is what they have it at right now.
So it's not on the main road, it is set back.
I'm sorry.
I know the building.
Is there any residential houses or?
Yeah, behind it,
Actually on both sides of it.
on the other side of the alley to the west, and then right behind it to the east. We'd have to get it measured, zoned, to make sure we don't know where the markers are for what size the property really is.
Which the other
What Bill
reason,
say?
Bill wants it.
it would be a nice location, yes. I'm not sure where the bathroom is on it.
The bathroom is after you, in the front where the office area would be, off to the left-hand side, there's a restroom right there.
Is it?
How much it want?
Does it flood? No.
No,
Nine.
is there gonna be an issue with
Nine.
making the bathroom?
119.9.
I just hear big figures.
I know.
And I would,
And the building was built in 1969, just so you know that too.
What is it, brick?
No, it's wood.
so you'd have maintenance once in a while, painting it or something.
No air conditioning issues, no furnace issues. Matter of fact, the front is separated from the back, which he liked that because then you can just close the door and keep the office warm. Because in the backside of the morgue, you don't need to keep it warm.
Right.
So he liked that he could turn that on when people came in to see whoever passed away. They'd be in there and they could take a look at it.
Well, we discussed at length ventilation in the event of a severe decomp case. Now what about ventilation, especially with residences around there?
I don't think that's gonna be too much of an issue because in talking to Bill earlier,
Well, he brought it up.
well, but then since then he had found, I don't know if it was Champaign or one of the places have a place where there's a system where you lay the plastic down, you let the body, and then you put plastic over it and you basically seal it so that any odor is contained.
I'm gonna drink tonight.
TMI, yeah.
Well, he talks about that as well as insects.
Is there a way we'd like to do a visit there as a group or how would we like to do this? My thought is we need to move on this pretty quick because it's not a bad price, it's right what Bill wants, and it's right next to the interstate. We have not found anything on the interstate. We've been looking all the way from Monarga all the way up of something with a decent price.
I could go Friday after the meeting, I think. I can't go Tuesday, I go to
Who has a key to get in?
Angie,
Reed?
yes. Yeah, she's the one that texted me that it was just coming available.
It with a realtor, she's a realtor.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be hard to get a deal on it, it looks like.
I totally agree.
I haven't been in the whole building, but I'm familiar with the building.
That door that would go into the area where the morgue is, the overhead door has to be replaced, so you're gonna have to after, I don't know what the cost of a new door is, but they're hard to get
Figure
these
it'll
days.
be a couple thousand at least, but, is it functional at this point?
We didn't try it, so I couldn't tell you, but it was all agreed by everybody out there that that's something that would have to be done.
It's just like the animal control building, there's things that aren't perfect about it, and we're just gonna have to, but it's not $431,000. Both buildings that we're going at right now, we're not even gonna touch that number.
Well,
And I like that.
if we. You want, Donna thought she was available Friday. Are you guys?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I go right by there Saturdays anyway, so I could look at it then, but, you know, I go to church up there, so.
All right, well, I guess we'll get together with Paul after he contacts the realtor to see when a good time.
Right. Okay, we can go.
Anything else on morgue or anything?
I guess the only comment I would make is that while the one in Clifton looks like a good possibility, we still have Yusuf's building as a possibility as well, even though the coroner is reluctant to go there, and I understand that part of it. But it still is something that may factor into the equation before we're all finished. I don't think we've gotten that far yet, so we just need to keep that part in mind, I guess.
I'll say one thing about this. We had to go back and forth with the town of Watseka over this animal control building. They pushed against us not wanting us to have it. I think we need to get something out of the town of Watseka. I'm just being very straightforward to show that we're not always locked in to Watseka. And I don't care if it's Anarga, Danforth, Gilman, wherever, to say, hey, we can go somewhere else if we have to. We know you're the county seat and we want to stay here, but if you're not going to work with us, we need to do what's best for the county. I have nothing against Watseka. I'd love to have everything here, but we got a lot of pushback on that animal control from them. And they should be open armed to help us because we're putting something back in their community that we all know they could use. And hopefully the opportunity comes available, we get it. And I apologize, you called the, Joe, what is that called? The person in the building that takes care of the animals.
Warden.
Not the warden, no, I'm talking about if we, the what?
Linda Rivard,
Oh, I can't think of it.
What are their titles?
Warden and the officers?
No, I'm thinking of if we were able to get somebody to come in and give shots to dogs,
Oh, a vet.
of that. So we got an opportunity, we can partner.
Sorry, I was thinking a little more detailed than a vet.
It's Monday. I'm still halfway through my coffee. Let me finish it, then you can yell at me. But, the chance is, we can maybe get a vet to come in and do, a shot for everybody in the county to come in at a discounted rate and it'll help out and we're right here in Watseka.
rabies clinics.
Right, just something like that.
It used to be done at least once a year, and they used to actually go to different towns to do it, but
U of I would come up and do it,
So I just sent her a message asking for Friday. They come up and look at it. I'm just waiting on a confirmation back from Angie.
do we wanna make a motion to, I mean.
You have to do something because it's gonna be multiple members.
Right, is the, well, you're just going for informational, that doesn't have to be, but, is that price negotiable, is that firm? do we need to have somebody that's going to
We can make John the negotiator.
Does John wanna be the negotiator?
He likes being a negotiator.
Why not? John doesn't have anything to do. He sits around.
That's what I heard.
I heard that too.
Offer
Need
him
to make a motion for John
60,000.
to be the negotiator. Please, yeah, better just in case.
Okay, so,
Don't need a second for that.
say it again,
Make John the negotiator,
I'll second it.
on the property in Clifton located at,
150 East.
First Avenue.
That's
Thanks.
assuming we all
That's,
agree.
that's provided,
That's assuming it isn't sold either, so I don't.
provided you decide you wanna purchase that.
right,
Right.
well, the price may help decide whether we wanna. And maybe we buy it at that price, but they put the new door in, you know, that's the kind of things you can talk to them about, whatever.
That's what I'd like to see.
Like, is there a lease to the bar?
Bill already said he was like, he gets,
Okay.
yeah. There'd have to be an auction to get rid of everything that's in there, where they leave.
One thing about this property that I think we do have to consider if we're gonna decide to purchase this, there's a lot of things in there related to the tavern, and it's who's gonna remove that and what are they gonna do with it, you know?
We had discussion about that.
So I mean, is that gonna be the owner's responsibility? Is that
How
gonna
much
be our
of it does he want?
responsibility? What?
How much would he want? I mean, how much of that stuff is usable that he might wanna take home?
He'll take the signs, some of the liquor stuff, I'm sure, and the poker machines, we gotta get those out of there. Can't have gambling machines in there.
You'll have,
Well, the state will
if you're
probably-
coming up there, if you're gonna come up there on Friday, you'll be able to see what's all in there, so. I mean, that's,
And it might be that if somebody can salvage some of it, and they'll do it for the amount of the stuff they can salvage, you know. Nothing salvageable.
You have to do an auction. No matter what, even if somebody offers a lot of money for it.
one thing that would motivate anybody to do that is there's a lot of liquor in there and there's also a pool table.
I'm sure that'll disappear.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I haven't seen how they have it set up.
It may be that the owner of the building wants to take all that stuff out anyway, who knows?
Obviously, they
Machines
put
on
the
their-
pool table in one of the back rooms.
That is on the second part, the larger part, is where he would have the vehicle, now just have to go. Yeah, and that's all open space. There's a couple goofy games there, but that's,
They'll probably want to
And
put
is
a
it-
pool
is
table
it-
there and then have management meetings.
Is it set that we have to get rid of the poker machines? Maybe that'd be a revenue stream for the county.
Shane would play them.
I was joking, he's digging deep now, I'm not getting into it.
So, all right, all in favor of Paul's motion?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay. So
Be the negotiator.
yeah,
Congratulations, John. We'll try to put some more stuff on you. We know you just like
he's
to sit
shaking his
around.
head no, but when he was asked whether he wanted to bid or not, he didn't complain then. You gotta speak up, otherwise we're gonna let you do it.
You'll let us know at a time on Friday?
I'm waiting for a text back so I can,
Yeah, we got highway at 9,
Okay,
10:30.
I'll try, I know.
if that's all on the morgue claims, did everybody get a chance to look at the claims?
Yeah.
Any questions on the claims? Motion to approve the claims,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
whenever you're ready. Tell me.
Here she comes. There's a motion to pay the claims.
Yes,
Ducat?
Yep.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crone?
yes.
Sisseton?
Yeah.
Barron?
Yes. Any old business? Any new business? Motion to adjourn,
Yes.
second. All in favor? All opposed?